Okay, this is going to be section 4 of chapter 5, and we are very similar. And I don't want anybody to kind of freak out because we went from own price elasticity to now income elasticity. The reality is it's exactly the same. All we've done is substitute our income for our price. So we still have the percent change in quantity divided by the percent change, but instead of price, now we have income that's included. That formula still looks the same as we convert that all over. These are the same in terms of our quantities. The difference is instead of these being a change in price and an average price, we just now have those indicated by income level. So our concept is our what we're going to take a look at is the idea that if somebody's income was to change, what impact is that going to have on the amount of specific products or commodities that they're going to demand? So just like we talked before, when we see income, we should be thinking about a very specific calculation. That would be the Engel curve, and that's what we're going to be determining as an Engel curve. But we know that if income elasticity is greater than 1.0, then we know that that product that we're going to be working with is a normal good, because a normal good we will expect to have a Engel curve that looks positive. But it's also a luxury good, and it's a luxury good because it is greater than 1.0. If we're less than 1.0 but still higher than 0, we know that that's going to be a necessity or a normal good. So we see something that looks like that. Now, recently we've had some issues at the time that I record this video that obviously we would think that toilet paper is a normal good and it is a necessity. We're starting to see the availability out in the markets, though, impacted as it being something that, evidently people think if they have a respiratory virus, they need a lot of toilet paper. I'm not sure exactly why, but there is a run on that at the stores. So it is a normal good, just like if it's greater than 1, but it's also, in this case, a necessity if it's in that range. If it's going to be less than 0, it's going to be an inferior good, and we've talked about this in other parts of the class, but in the beginning, when you're not making much, this is income here, and this is quantity. When you're not making much income, you'll eat top ramen, and you'll continue to eat top ramen, but at some point, as you increase in your income, you'll start to eat less of that top ramen. Okay, so that quantity is going to decrease. So how do we calculate that? What does that animal look like? This might look familiar. This is going to be the second worksheet that looks similar to this. And again, the only changes is that we have made, instead of price, we are looking at income. So we just substituted that information over. Again, just substituted it over here at the end as well. So do your calculations exactly the same. The only difference that I made is that we're going to start at the bottom this time to simulate an increase in income. So as our income increases, the quantity of that specific commodity that we're consuming is also going to increase. You can see the trends that go along with this. Okay, so as we look at our quantity, our change in quantity, in each of these, our quantity is changing by 1. So from here to there, we have plus 1, 1, 1, all the way, just like we did on the last worksheet. And then we have our average quantity. So our average quantity is going to be 2 plus 3 is 5 divided by 2. That's 2.5. 3 and 4 is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5, all the way up. And then our percent change in quantity, and you're going to go ahead and use your calculators to determine this, but it's still going to be 1, this is the 1, over 2.5, which is our average quantity. 1 over 3.5. And when we say 1 over a number, we're saying that that's just a division, right? 1 divided by 3.5, 1 divided by 2.5, whatever. Let's look at the change in income. Our income is increasing. It's increasing by $10 each time. So that's going to be constant all the way up. Our average income is going to be 10 plus 20 is 30, and that's going to be 30 divided by 2. Okay, and that's going to be 15. The next one, 20 and 30 is 50. 50 divided by 2 is 25, and so on. You're going to calculate those all the way up. And then we're going to look at the percent change in income. So we're just going to take that 10 and we're going to divide it by 15. We're going to take that 10 and we're going to divide it by 25. And then you're going to come up with your percent change in income. In the end here, you're just going to take your percent change in quantity. So whatever this number is, whatever this number calculates out to be here, and you're going to divide it by your percent change in income, whatever this calculates out to be here, and that result is going to be your income elasticity. And you're going to calculate these again as you go up. Remember that you don't use this bottom here because no change has taken place. Okay, so get that in. I'll have those responses up. Again, this is calculated just like we did on last one. One change I did make is I used mu as our example for average rather than put the line over them, and to be honest, that was just something simpler for me to be able to notate it that way rather than try to get a line above it. But either way, we're looking at it from an average. Again, that mu equals average. So let's take a look at another example. And this is something real world. This could happen in any commodity that you might produce. We're going to say that, let's say that the government goes in and it cuts taxes, something that we're trying to do to right now to try to get the economy to kick back in and start being productive. So we're going to cut taxes. That means that we're going to decrease taxes by 5%. Okay. Well, that right there is going to mean that if we say we cut taxes by 5%, that means that we're going to increase people's income by 5%. Mathematically, not so much, but we'll use that as our example. So we know that we're looking at the percent change in quantity divided by the percent change in income. Well, we've already figured that out to be 5%. So we're going to put 5 down here. So we have to determine what is that percent change in quantity. Well, we have to know that our income elasticity of demand, and that income elasticity of demand is going to be a 0.3645. Okay, so we can go ahead and move this percent change in quantity to the outside, just like we did in the last one. Percent change in quantity, and that's going to equal, in this case, we have 0.3645. And we're going to look at that at times 5. Okay, so when we start to plug this information in, we see that 3645, we brought that inside. That's right where we just were. And we were looking percent change in quantity. When we do that math there, we come out with it's an increase in quantity demanded of 1.8225%. Okay, so we were looking at a percent change in quantity, and we knew the percent change in price. And we know the income elasticity was 0.3645. So again, we're just moving that around to determine what impact that's going to have. So what does this matter to us? What's the big deal here? Well, if you're in the business of selling chicken and you know what that income elasticity is, and we know that there's an impact on our consumers, we can predict, well, what is going to happen? We need to ramp up production to meet that demand. If we don't, there's going to be a shortage. Can we increase our price? Not much, okay, depending on the type of product that we have. So we have to be very, very careful with that type of thing. But we're saying that chicken is a normal good. It is a necessity, and I had a problem with these twos. They're actually A's, but it's not a luxury, since that income elasticity is going to be greater than 0 and less than 1. Okay, so we're close on that, but not quite. It's still a normal good. It is a necessity, but not quite a luxury. So our next section, our final section, hopefully as we get through this, actually we got 2 more sections, is going to be cross-price elasticity, and we're going to give some examples of that. Again, it's going to be very similar to what we're already doing.